KSNT News reporter McKenzi Davis.
KSNT News reporter McKenzi Davis.
KSNT News reporter McKenzi Davis tells us more about the surprising win.
When Miss Linda Dishman walked through the doors of her classroom, she had no idea about the recognition she was going to receive. Barryton Elementary School gathered inside the gymnasium to honor one of their teachers, Linda Dishman. The 5th grade teacher is the first and only Kansas teacher to win the 2018 Milken Educator Award. But this wasn't something Dishman was expecting.
Feels unreal right now, but I'm excited.
Dishman did not know the assembly was in celebration of her. In fact, when Dishman's name was announced, it was the first time she, students, and her colleagues knew she was a winner.
I'm shocked and so honored and humbled. I couldn't have done it without the amazing Barryton staff and our administration. They guide and inspire me every day to be the best teacher I can be.
Dishman's friend, Laura Herla, agrees that she is the right choice for the 2018 Milken Educator Award.
She works really, really hard, and she's also very humble. So she's deserving in that she never self-nominate herself for anything. She's going to push everybody else to be their best, which is the leadership part of it.
Dishman says the recent loss of a family member has made this week difficult, but she keeps coming to school because of the students.
It makes every bad day turn into a great day, and they're the reason I keep coming back.
The Milken Award gives $25,000 to winners, but Linda Dishman says her class is worth more than any award.
What an amazing honor.
Dishman is also the Shawnee Heights winner for the 2019 Teacher of the Year Award. In Barryton, McKenzi Davis, KSNT News. The Pandas Network estimates 1 in 200 children in the U.S. are living with this syndrome. For Shannon Wright and Becky Bachman, their children were the one.
Our life really changed overnight.
Shannon Wright is the mother of a child who had panda syndrome. Her daughter, Allison Wright, showed symptoms of pandas when she was 9 years old. Pandas began to take a toll on the Wright family.
The shell of her is the same, but she's a totally different person.
Once Allison's symptoms started, Shannon began to write about her experience and how her daughter changed. She writes, Allison was in many ways a very typical little girl who loved art and had spent the summer writing and illustrating fairy tale type stories. Then everything seemed to change.
On October 13th, 2011, I knew without a doubt that something was terribly wrong with my daughter. That night, my little girl was completely sorry.
Shannon began to advocate for her daughter's health, making other people aware of the disease the best way she could. One of her outlets was to KSNT News. Shannon felt alone, not knowing other parents going through this.
That's a big day.
One day, she got a phone call from another woman whose child was showing signs of pandas.
It was scary.
Becky Bachman's daughter was 5 years old when she showed signs of pandas after getting an ear infection.
She was almost 5 years old when it started. She was in preschool, ending up her preschool year, loved going to school every day, and then all of a sudden, she was a different person.
In 2013, Becky saw a story we featured on KSNT News about Allison and her struggle with pandas. She reached out to Shannon for support 5 years ago. Today, the women are staying strong together by fighting for their kids and others.
If it weren't for them, I probably would not be here today.
Just to kind of share this journey with someone was really amazing.
7 years after developing the syndrome, Allison has overcome her battle with pandas, but Becky's daughter is still fighting.
But I just want her to feel good and to live a normal life. You know, she's missed out on a lot.
Today marked a special day for Shannon's and Becky's families. Governor Collier signed a proclamation making October 9th National Pandas Awareness Day in Kansas. In the studio, McKenzi Davis, KSNT News. Behind every up-and-coming athlete like Tiller is someone standing in their corner. For Tiller, that man is Shannon Woodward. Shannon Woodward has trained local kids in mixed martial arts for almost 30 years. But he doesn't train just anyone. He works with disadvantaged kids and teens to keep them busy and off the streets.
If they got to help clean the school, if they got to, help move mats around or a cage around or hang bags, whatever we have to do, we try to keep them in here. If that's what they want to do and it's going to keep them out of trouble and off the streets, then then we'll get him in. We're surrounded by good, positive people.
One of the people he keeps busy is Kelvin Tiller. He started training Kelvin when he was just 10 years old.
You're like my dad I never had, because I didn't have a dad growing up. That shows a lot. You know, he's helped me out when I didn't have money. He helped me out with rent, gas money, rides to practice.
Now at 28, Kelvin fights in the Professional Fighter League. But he's not just any fighter. He's the #1 heavyweight MMA fighter in the Midwest.
This saved me. When I was 18 years old, this saved me. It helped me go down the right path and not the wrong path from a lot of my friends did go down and did not make it out.
And for Shannon, seeing Kelvin and the others he's helped in the ring and not in the streets is all the repayment he needs. In Topeka, McKenzi Davis, KSNT News. Police investigating after 3 officers fired shots at the same man 2 different times today. It all started when police went up to a suspicious man in the Topeka neighborhood. Kim Dyer woke up to the sound of gunshots and sirens as police looked for a gunman who exchanged fire with officers. Officers say the man started shooting when they approached him in a neighborhood near 37th and Burlingame. No one was hit and the suspect got away.
I thought just another typical day in Briarwood. No, I'm kidding. It usually doesn't happen too much over here, but I have heard police cars here before.
Police blanketed the area looking for the man on foot and by air. The gunman ran into different yards, including Matthew Davis's.
In the first incident, he ran through my yard, and that's why they were looking around my area. But in the second incident, no, he was across the street and ran in front of my house.
But this wasn't the end of the search. While officers were investigating the first shooting, the same man came out of nowhere more than 6 hours later and fired at officers again. 2 shootings leaving people like Kim and Matthew to become more aware of what's going on in the Briarwood neighborhood.
I just hope they stop, and I guess this happens everywhere, not just Briarwood.
We should always be vigilant, but sometimes we get complacent, and things like this is what makes you more aware and start to be alert and, you know, to reevaluate things that you can do to help make sure that you're not a victim of a crime.
It was the worst day of my entire life.
That day being September 7th, 2014, the day Lieutenant Jeremy Harwood lost his twin brother. Jason Harwood was shot and killed as he performed a routine traffic stop, leaving behind his twin brother and his mother, Becky Lefevre.
It's still in my mind some days the day it happened. You know, it hurts just as bad as the day it happened.
Lefevre says even 4 years later, she still misses her son and can't believe he is gone.
I carried him. He was flesh of my flesh. He was my baby.
The U.S. Honor Flag dedicated a flag to the Harwood family, naming it Harwood 1. Jason Harwood carried honor flags in his life. Today, the flag case was retired and renamed J.H. Harwood in his honor. Lieutenant Jeremy Harwood and Becky Lefevre say this is what Corporal Jason would want.
To have his name with the flag and to actually go around and carry the flag with his name, I mean, that's how the man upstairs works. I mean, he took Jason and made him a hero, and forever his name will be synonymous with all the heroes that have passed before.
You know, it was such a sad reason as to why it came about. But I was so full of pride, you know, that this was my baby. That was the reason for this, you know.
Even though he is gone, his memory will forever live on.
I love you, baby. You will never be forgotten.
The Kansas Highway Patrol presented this dedicated sign to fallen trooper John McMurray today. 50 years ago, McMurray was killed on K-18 in Manhattan. This is Starla Price, the daughter of fallen Kansas Highway Patrol Trooper John McMurray. She was 5 years old when she lost her father. Trooper McMurray was killed on the side of K-18 when a drunk driver hit him.
Even 54 years later, I still remember it like it was yesterday.
Today, she gets to see her father's sacrifice be remembered on that same highway.
Just the fact that they still remember his sacrifice 54 years later is like just unbelievable.
This is one of many highway memorials honoring fallen troopers. Colonel Mark Bruce started the memorial initiative when he became superintendent.
It was a project that began in 2018, early this year with the Kansas legislature, where a bill was introduced and worked its way through the legislative session, signed by the governor on May 8th, which then kicked off the events that we've been hosting statewide.
He says this was the right way to honor these troopers.
Makes perfect sense that they would be memorialized on those highways where they work to protect the public and where they ultimately gave their lives.
Starla Price says the highway memorial is overwhelming, but she is honored to see him recognized.
I can't think of a more fitting memorial for him because that's what they do. They put their lives on the line when they go out on the road.
She's thankful for all the support she's received from the Highway Patrol over the last 54 years.
They donated blood, they gave money, they were family. And yeah, so it's still on both of our minds all these years later how close-knit of the community they truly are.
People like Ginger and Penny Lighthill were forced to spend their morning in a church parking lot. The mother and daughter live in the Redbud Mobile Home Park all by themselves.
We have no place to go. We have no family here. And I'm sorry.
It's okay, Mom. It's okay. West of Redbud, people living at Highland Ridge woke up to a similar scene. This is a video sent to us by Alexandria Harm. K-State student Paige Gabriel also lives at that complex. She spent her day with her dogs inside a shelter. Gabriel says she was worried about her safety as well as her dogs.
I was just honestly scared of just getting shocked because it was over the outlets by that time and I didn't know if they'd shut the electricity off or not. So I was trying to stay above the water the whole time, or as much as I could.
Both Gabriel and the Lighthills are ready to go home after a long, stressful, and wet day.
We're just hoping we can get back in and get some of our clothes at least and try and figure out how else to get settled.
I'm just hoping that we have a place to stay because I do have work in college and my dog, so I hope we just kind of find a safer place to stay while it gets fixed.
Although people are now able to go back into their homes at Redbud, they are worried they will have to do it again later this week. In Manhattan, McKenzi Davis, KSNT News. Brooke, Jace, the hearing comes after the Kansas Gas Service requested a $42 million total increase for monthly bills. The increase will leave gas customers paying almost $6 more each month. Many people who came to the hearing say they worry for people 50 and older. That's because some people 50 and older are living off of fixed incomes. Two women say they don't understand why the gas company needs the extra money. One woman also says she doesn't know where she will get the extra change to pay the bill since she works a part-time job.
When you add that to your electric bill, your cable bill, your phone bill, it just adds up to too much. Our incomes are not increasing, and where are we going to get the money?
$42 million is a huge increase, and this is on top of many, many increases over the last several years. It's not the first time that the Kansas Gas Service has asked for an increase.
The women also told me they are worried for younger adults who may have children and work minimum wage jobs. The gas company says the extra money will help pay for the changes in its operating and maintenance expenses. And if you missed the hearing, there is still time to submit your concerns. The commission will accept comments until December 14th. They are accepting messages online, through letters, and through phone calls. McKenzi Davis, KSNT News.